Your account is negative, maybe by $4, maybe by 400. The notification pops up, a sharp red alert on your phone. You feel a familiar knot tighten in your stomach. It's 3 a.m. and you're staring at the ceiling, the quiet hum of the refrigerator the only sound. There's a bill due tomorrow and the numbers just don't add up. This isn't a game, it's a tightrope walk where every single dollar is a decision, a sacrifice. You know the drill, the constant mental math, the agonizing choice between groceries and that unexpected car repair. This is the baseline, the raw, unvarnished truth of living paycheck to paycheck, where every single cent is spoken for before it even hits your bank. Money isn't a tool, it's a constant, pressing need. Level 1, the broke saver. You have $100, maybe 200 sitting in your savings account. It's not much, but it's their asterisk. You fought for every single dollar of it, skipping the morning coffee, packing a lunch, saying no to nights out. This money represents discipline, a small, hard-won victory against the tide of everyday expenses. You log into your bank app, the interface clean and sterile, showing a balance that feels both insignificant and monumental. The bank, in its infinite wisdom, offers you a savings rate of 0, 1%. You do the math. For every $100 saved, you'll earn a penny a year. A single penny. It's an insult, but you swallow it. You understand that this money, while yours, is effectively working for the bank, not for you. They're using your hard-earned cash to make their own investments, their own profits, while your penny sits there, an almost invisible testament to your effort. You're providing them with cheap capital, and the system, in its quiet efficiency, ensures you remain on the outside looking in. This isn't about growth, it's about sheer survival, about building a tiny, fragile buffer against the next financial storm. Level 2. The first taste investor. You've managed to scrape together $1,000, maybe 5,000. It's enough to open a basic brokerage account. You navigate the onboarding process, clicking through disclaimers, agreeing to terms you barely understand. You deposit your hard-won capital. The platform suggests an index fund, something broad, diversified, low risk. You click buy. The market fluctuates. One day your balance is up $17. The next it's down $23. You check it constantly, every hour, every market open. You feel a thrill, a jolt of anxiety. This is real money, asterisk your money, moving without your direct intervention. You're no longer just saving, you're participating, but you're still reacting. You read articles, watch YouTube videos, trying to decipher the arcane language of market analysts. The news headlines scream about inflation, interest rates, impending recessions. Each one sends a pang of fear through you. You're playing the game, but you don't know the rules. You're a passenger hoping for the best, clinging to the idea that time in the market beats timing the market. The broker charges a tiny fee, a fraction of a percent, almost invisible, but it's there, slowly eroding your potential gains. You've entered the arena, but you're still on the sidelines watching the giants play. Level 3. The active learner. You have $20,000, 50,000, maybe even 100,000. You've moved beyond index funds. You're reading annual reports, dissecting financial statements, trying to understand the underlying businesses. You spend hours researching specific companies, their products, their management teams, their competitive advantages. You're trading individual stocks, buying calls and puts, experimenting with different strategies. The brokerage platform, once intimidating, now feels like a familiar dashboard. You set stop-loss orders, take profit limits. You experience the rush of a winning trade, the sting of a losing one. You learn about bid-ask spreads, market depth, technical indicators. You realize that the market isn't just a random walk. It's a complex, interconnected system, driven by human psychology and cold, hard data. You're trying to find an edge, to predict the unpredictable. You subscribe to newsletters, join online communities, seeking out insights, trying to understand the why behind the market movements. You're no longer just hoping, you're actively trying to influence your outcome. But you quickly learn that the market doesn't care about your research. A news event, a sudden shift in sentiment, can wipe out weeks of careful analysis in minutes. You're competing against algorithms, against institutions with vastly superior information and resources. You're a sharp, focused individual, but you're still a small fish in a very, very large ocean. You're playing the game, but the odds are still stacked against you, and you're starting to see why. Level 4, the portfolio builder. You've amassed $500,000, perhaps $1 million. The stakes are higher, but so is your understanding. You're no longer just picking stocks, you're constructing a fortress. You understand correlation, beta, standard deviation. Your screen isn't just showing individual tickers. It's displaying a heat map of your entire portfolio, cross-referenced with macroeconomic indicators. You're diversifying not just across sectors but across asset classes, real estate, bonds, commodities, even some alternative investments that barely register on the average investor's radar. You're using options not for speculation, but for hedging, protecting your downside. You're conscious of capital gains taxes, actively managing your tax liabilities, realizing losses strategically. You have a dedicated financial advisor, not just a call center agent, but a person with a Series 7 and Series 66 license, who understands your specific goals and risk tolerance. They present you with quarterly reports, thick binders detailing performance, rebalancing strategies, and future projections. You're no longer checking your account balance daily. You're reviewing it monthly, focusing on the broader trends, the long-term trajectory. You've moved from trying to beat the market to trying to optimize your exposure to it, to manage risk with surgical precision. You understand that true wealth isn't just about growth. It's about preservation, about building a robust structure that can withstand economic shocks. You're aware of the fees, the advisor's percentage, the expense ratios of your ETFs, the transaction costs, but they're a cost of doing business, a necessary expense for professional management. You're playing a different game now, a game of millimeters and basis points, where even a small percentage point advantage compounded over years translates into substantial wealth. You're a builder, meticulously assembling a financial engine designed for durability and consistent output. The market is still a force of nature, but you're learning to harness its power, not just be swept away by it. You're not just an investor, you're a steward of significant capital, and that changes everything. The conversations you have are different, the access you gain is different. You're beginning to see the levers. You're no longer just asking, what should I buy? You're asking, how do I structure this for maximum efficiency and long-term security? Level 5, the income generator. You've crossed the threshold. $10 million, maybe 20. It's no longer about accumulation, it's about living off the fruits of your capital. Your portfolio generates enough passive income to cover your entire lifestyle, and then some. You receive quarterly dividend payments that rival annual salaries. Your bond portfolio kicks out interest payments like clockwork. You own commercial real estate that sends you monthly rent checks. The game has fundamentally shifted from growth to yield. You're focusing on stable, income-producing assets, often with inflation hedges built in. Your financial advisor has been replaced by a family office or at least a dedicated team of specialists, a wealth manager, a tax attorney, and estate planner. They manage the complexities, the trusts, the foundations, ensuring your wealth serves not just you, but future generations. You're no longer looking for the next hot stock. You're looking for assets that can reliably produce a 4% or 5% annual yield after inflation. You're attending exclusive investor conferences, not to learn about new tech startups, but to understand global macro trends, central bank policies, and geopolitical risks that could impact your income streams. You might invest in private credit, infrastructure projects, or even direct lending, seeking higher yields that aren't available on public markets. You're getting calls from private equity firms, offering you a piece of their latest fund. The conversations are no longer about getting rich. They're about staying rich, about capital preservation and legacy planning. You're flying first class, but it's not for status. It's because your time is literally worth thousands of dollars an hour. You're looking at statements that show millions of dollars flowing into your accounts each year, not from working, but from your money working for you. The fear of financial ruin, that knot in your stomach from level 1, has completely dissipated. You have true financial freedom. The system that once felt opaque and distant now feels like a well-oiled machine, diligently producing for you. You are no longer chasing money. Money is chasing you. The real power isn't in how much you can make, but in how much you no longer have asterisk to make. You've built a self-sustaining financial ecosystem. The world you once navigated with anxiety now unfolds differently. The alerts on your phone aren't about overdrafts. They're about dividend payouts or portfolio rebalances. That initial knot in your stomach, born from scarcity, has been replaced by a quiet confidence, the understanding that your capital is now a force. You started with debt, staring at a negative balance, each dollar a struggle. Now, your assets generate more in a day than you once earned in a year. The system hasn't changed its rules, but your position within it has. You've moved from being a participant in the market to being a beneficiary of its perpetual motion. The journey from that 3 a.m. ceiling stare to watching millions accrue passively isn't just about the numbers. It's about the shift in perspective, the unlocking of a different kind of freedom. You went from being a pawn in the financial game to a player who sets the board, understanding that the true game isn't about accumulating, but about leveraging, about building a machine that runs itself. And as the sun rises, casting a warm glow across your vast estate, you realize the ultimate truth. Money, at this level, isn't just about what it can buy, but about the profound, quiet power of what it allows you to be.